So there is a lot of tools involved in my company, upcoming company. So there is a limitations to embed the Bluetooth system in it, or the Bluetooth can be capable to enable all kind of tools.
Means what?
Whatever you have seen in your presentations,
Yeah.
only the few the screw gauge and when you call it.
We are digital instruments like hand tools. But I didn't understand your question. What kind of instruments you have?
Per se, I have a digital torque meter.
Okay.
So that whatever the torque measuring it is captured, should be transferred to my.
No, we don't have the torque metrology instruments in our scope of supply. But for the hand tools, yes, you can connect anything.
Okay. So next is in generic. So for example, if I'm taking any services, MLSS or CMOS, down the line I would like to integrate with other systems as well. For example, I'm implementing SAP ERP tools. Whether your system it is capable to support for that.
Yes. So we do have, we can interface with SAP or any other ERP systems. Halo, Dynamic, MS Dynamics, Oracle, we have interfaced with several ERP systems. Usually it is based on either you can make API calls or remote function calls, or you can make through staging tables, or also through file transfer. So when we get this kind of analysis, we know what data we want to transmit from the SAP and all. We have a discussion with your ERP team, and then we can communicate and get the data. We will zero in on the data to be communicated, and then we can transfer the data through any of these four mechanisms: APIs, staging tables, or remote function calls, or through file folders.
Again, this is a generic question one more time. So
I just want to add one thing to that. Yes, you can integrate with SAP, but that's why one of the things I talked about was architecture. If you have a very easy contact between your operational system and your ERP, it then makes it easy for, I think Gokul talked about cybercrime as well. It then makes it easy for a hacker who comes into the OT system to hack into your SAP system, or anybody who hacks into your domain system can then hack into your PLCs in the shop floor. So when you create the architecture itself, there has to be a fairly strong wall between the OT system and the SAP, and that's one of the things that you need to look forward to from your integrator, the definition of the architecture.
Okay, thank you, sir. Again, generic question. Is it how feasible, user-friendly to change my process and CPK and CP value against your parameters?
Sorry, you wanted to know about CPK values?
Yeah. So for example, I have my own process, right? So some certain values to be measured. Down the line, I would like to change my CP and CPK values. So how friendly your system to change or given preference to me to update or control the parameters? Yeah. Am I clear again?
I think I have understood what you are asking. Today, if you have put your CPK at certain certain percentages, okay, you want to change them and you want to know how flexible the system would be.
Exactly, sir.
Most of the softwares have that basic capability because you are defining it and it's not fixed. You are defining it. So in the software, you can always redefine it. That's not an issue at all. What you asked about the torque, generally the torque sensors or the torque equipment comes along with another driver box, and that would have some communication facility. We can communicate with that box. That's not an issue. We can communicate with any device which has a possibility of certain communication. The examples what we had shown for polyholes, they have equipment which absolutely have the proprietary protocol. We could write the protocol drivers for that. In fact, I think even your application also, we had a protocol drivers to be written into our device.
Yeah.
We could do that very well.
So, so CPCPK, one of the things I think Ms. Grace mentioned was that she could arrange a visit to our factory. This is CPCPKs we have in our factories. Now, in our factory, now one of the things, as far as you're calculating CPK, you need the system to be continuously calculating the standard deviation, and you need to be specifying the specification limits. Now, you can change the specification limits. The system on its own calculates the standard deviation and comes up with, or if you want to have 2 sigma limits or 3 sigma limits, it will accordingly calculate what your current CPK is. Or if you only want to set your own control limits and calculate what your CPK is, how you're operating within that, that's also doable.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Talking about the torque, we have interface with the torque. Usually the screw, when you are having a screw and then having the machine to measure the torque and all that, we have done in Danfoss, okay, where basically you have a product, and for each product you set the torque limits, and then you send a command to the instrument. The screwdriver, this is a special screwdriver, don't ask me the make, I don't remember, but you can send command to the instrument to set the torque limit per the product which you are supposed to manufacture. And then it sets up, and then automatically the torque, once the torque is reached, the torque, that instrument stops.
That's a basic feature comes from the torque instrument. But my thing is, actually, I have some innovative ideas that operator operates. It is captured the torque values, but it should be captured in my system,
Right.
transferring, so that it will be connected to avoid mistake and errors.
Right.
So probably I'll connect with you, sir. Actually, we can talk, because I'm from Amiga Aerospace, so we are supporting for wire harness design to product. So down the line, my production line, there is no manufacturing yet, but thinking about to start with the digitalization. Yeah, so that's the idea about it. Yeah, thank you very much.
Welcome.
First of all, thank you very much, each one of you, for enlightening us with such a great topic, and then we got very valuable takeaways. So we are really grateful on behalf of everyone. I'm sharing this. My first question is to Deshpande sir. You mentioned about the grinding machine examples. Now, is there any, and you said in your presentation that sometimes you have to recommend manufacturers to go for the upgraded machines. So when is the time, like, that is probably a small or a medium scale organization would not be so willingly interested in upgrading the machines if they are not onto the, they have not embarked their journey on the digital transformation. So how is that, how do you acknowledge that particular stage that, okay, there is no other way that you have to go for, other than to go for the upgradation, or how do you evaluate that? Or there are some solutions which are available for their existing machineries where they can incorporate and still get the data, whatever you have mentioned about the production quantity and then probably the net good parts.
Yeah, as I understand, your question is related to if there are old machines.
Yes.
And the user does not want to upgrade them with new controllers or something of that kind.
Absolutely.
What should be done?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have facility that we can take the data. See, the reason is that my organization has been working, probably all of us, have been working into the automation field for very long. Most of us, some of them come from the IT background, but most of us are from the OT background. So we know on a machine, under the machine where we can tap a data for, say, speed, tap a data for the cycle over signal, production signals, and we can take the data from there discreetly, and it is not through the communication.
So I can give you, sorry.
Yeah. So what I want to say is that it is possible to take data, but you may not get, as I said, you may not get a data related to the grinding wheel life. How much life has happened for the wheel? How many components it has turned? So that prediction may not come from this much data, this small data. But small data always can be taken. You can find out how efficiently people are working on that machine. That machine may not be expected to work very high efficiently. Or if it's a German machine, WWW machines are working, WMW machines are working fine for last about 70 years. And people don't want to change them.
Correct.
I agree. They are strong, sturdy, mechanically sturdy. Speed of production may not be high on them, maybe. But yes, the data can be taken from them. Whatever is possible data can be taken and that can be incorporated into your IoT. It can be incorporated into your Industry 4.0.
So let me sort of just clarify on this. See, in the world of IT, your hardware becomes obsolete in 4 years, 5 years. In the world of OT that we live in, machines, your hardware doesn't become obsolete even after 30 years. So let me give an example. In our factory, we have we get the data from the PLCs, right? So your question is, what happens if those older machines which don't have PLCs? Well, in our UK factory, which has exactly similar machines, except that they are ancient machines, the PLCs there are not amenable to giving data. So there, what you have to do is install an external sensor. What does the PLC give? The PLC is connected to sensors. It takes the data and gives it to you. Instead, you have to install your own sensors. And if you recall, one of the points I was making was that it's how you collect the data. The collection of the data itself is one of the choices, one of the decisions that you make as you go as you go in for IoT. So the choice between external sensors and the PLC is a decision that you have to make as you go along. Oh, one other thing, yes. We had a brand new machine, but we still had to put a sensor for it because the manufacturer wanted to charge us money for taking data from our own PLC. I said, the PLC belongs to us, how can you charge money for that? He said, no, we charge money for that. So we said, forget it, we will. So one important point, when you're buying a machine and the manufacturer, get an advance agreement with the manufacturer that any data on the machine from the PLC is yours and you will have access to it without any limitation.
I think that was a very important tip for the manufacturers who are going into buying a new machine, and thank you very much, both of you.
One more point I want to put here is related to even the new machine. As you said, there is a restriction from the manufacturer, but it's not only that. Say for example, when we did some of the work in TVS Motor Company, or for that matter even Hyundai, certain data which is not in the PLC right now, but it is needed for monitoring the machine performance. But it is not going to affect their cycle, or it is not going to affect their logic. That data they don't want to take to the PLC because the PLC reprogramming is too costly. So they kept it external and we took that data externally itself. So even if there is a new machine also, there is a possibility that you will need the data to be collected externally. But it is possible to collect the data externally.
Thank you, both of you.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm the CEO and founder of Acme India Medical Drones. So till the afternoon, we was talking about only the machines which are stationary in the companies. So I just wanted to highlight, Mr. Lincoln Electric has told, IoT is placed at vendor's place to know the exact data of your parts at client's place. Right, sir? So my question is to MELSS. So can we use the same concept to our medical drones to carry the human parts, human organs for transplant from one hospital to another? We are doing this medical drone service from one hospital, say like from Salem to Chennai. We are bringing a heart with the help of a drone. Drone flies. So can we use this IoT for that purpose? The heart rate, pulse rate, the temperature, pressure, and the payload, what it carries, everything can be, in the control room can we do it with the help of real-time data, which is dynamic.
Yeah, and the answer is yes. So similarly, a similar experience what we have done is for one of the milk product manufacturer, they have freezers all over India, and you have to maintain the milk products within a particular temperature, humidity range, and the freezers, the ambient environment, temperature and all, humidity, it's all captured through our IoT gateway, and for all over India it is all centralized monitored in one place in Chennai for one of the milk. So you can monitor the products everywhere through IoT sensors, gateways, and also pass the data to cloud if you want to, or on-premise. Those things are possible. To track the product movement, also when they are loading the product into the truck, we have done some applications where you through RFID sensors or through barcode sensors, both we have done, where you can scan and load the product into the trucks, and then the loading area and the receiving area. We have not done the GPS tracking, but we can. But you can say that this product got loaded into the truck on so-and-so time, and with this operator, this is a truck number details and all that, and its destination is so-and-so place. We have done some applications on all those areas. This is for tracking the movement of eggs, because eggs, it collides and everything, so you have to monitor how many eggs are harvested in one place, and it is moved from one place to another. We have done one application for that.
So I just want to add, so you talked about drones which are moving. So connectivity obviously will become very, very important there. Yes. So one is cellular connectivity with the best method to monitor that remotely. But if you have a situation where coverage is very poor, cellular coverage is very poor, today you could look at the option of having a satellite IoT device, because the cost of satellite receivers today has come down significantly. And the cost of satellite bandwidth is also much, much lower today. I come with a SATCOM background, so I can tell that with conviction. But that is an option that is there. It is slightly expensive compared to cellular, but that is an option you can consider, especially if you're considering an area where cellular coverage is not very good, where there are no towers and all that. So one can use cellular or one can use satellite when you talk about remote monitoring of some of these drones.
Okay, sir. I'll connect with MELSS personally. Thanks for the response.
One precaution you would have to take is that, do you have sensors which can work on that? Because that is going to be much more critical than this electronics. This electronic can work. This electronic, as David sir and Sunil had said, that satellite tracking is possible, everything is possible. But what you need is the sanitized sensors which would continue to work for such a long time.
Yes.
So that could be, and even the devices which would be built for this purpose would have to be medically certified. Industrially certified device is totally different, and that is different. So maybe that will have to be done.
Yeah, in
but
fact,
in theory,
we have our sterilization.
no, not only sterilization. What I'm trying to tell is that the sensor for monitoring these parameters, whatever parameters you want on a isolated heart, for example, they should be available. See, when it's a human, a wearable tells me almost everything. But that may not be the case for heart.
Yes.
So maybe that might be a difficulty, or that might be required. That will require more attention.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
This is measured right now while they are moving on a road. All these parameters are getting measured, correct?
Yeah, we know about Cyberus technology.
So there is just a mode of
But-
transport getting changed in this.
Yeah, only thing is, the challenge I am facing is when the drone moves on the air,
Yeah.
and there is no data connectivity in the border
Exactly,
states.
and that is where satellite
where
connectivity
we
comes
have a challenge with the weather also. So there where we can use IoT or not. That's what my interest is. Thanks for the response.